Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. Every week it just gets more and more ridiculous around here. Hi, my name is Candace. Thank you for joining me for another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. In today's video, if you know, you know. Hashtag if you know, you know. You already know. I warned you guys in previous videos that my next several videos will be, I'm powering my way through, or was powering my way through, Penelope Douglas' Devil's Night series. So, don't pretend like you're surprised that today's video is a review for a Penelope Douglas book. She's basically consumed my life for the last 3 months. I could say I'm not sorry about it. I could say I am, but I'm not. Every book that I get into by this author is just better and better than the last one. I won't say better than the last one, but none of them have fallen flat for me so far. And I'm really hoping that trend keeps up, because if she could become one of my ride or die bitches, that would be awesome. But so far, she's very good. So without further ado, in today's video, we will be reviewing book 4 in Penelope Douglas', I'm going to do it every time, Devil's Night series, with this book, Nightfall. Okay. So my last video was for a novella that was technically book 3.5. It took place between Damon's book, which is Kill Switch, the last full-length novel, and this book, which is Will's. I'm going to do my best to try and remember everything that happened in this book. But I know you know me, if you know me. And if you do know me, then you know that there is a good chance that I'm going to bungle a lot of this. So, please don't be mad. Don't be mad about it. Don't get salty with me, okay? The reason that, aside from, obviously aforementioned brain trash, the reason that there's a good chance I'm going to fuck up a lot of this is because, would you look at, it's half of my face, the thickness of this book. This book, allegedly, because Amazon be lying, so allegedly, this book has 750 pages. IRL, this book has 727 pages, at least in the trade paperback size. The Kindle version, I could not tell you. I don't know. My Kindle Paperwhite is really stupid, and it gives me the percentage that I've read or some such nonsense. It doesn't tell me page numbers, and if that's a setting in there that I could change, and I just haven't since I got my Kindle Paperwhite 5 years ago, someone let me know, because I've just been annoyed by it since I got it, but not actually put forth any effort to see if that's a feature that can be changed. Typical Candace. So this is book 4 of the Devil's Night series. All of these books are free to read with Kindle Unlimited. If you are not familiar with Kindle Unlimited, if you have a Kindle device, an Amazon Kindle device, you can sign up for Kindle Unlimited. It's essentially like a virtual library through Amazon, and you can check out up to 10 books at a time to read from their Kindle Unlimited library. And then as you return the books back to Kindle, you can check out more books. It's like $9.99 a month. I have it. I pay by the month because I am just cheap like that, and I don't like. I did a little bit of research at one time. Like one time I did research. And if you sign up for like a longer duration and pay up front, it doesn't save you that much money by signing up for like a year or 6 months. You save like $5. What's the point? And it's easier for me to pay $10 a month, or to like give myself permission, or like find an excuse to reasons to pay $9.99 a month than it is for me to go, hey, Richard, my husband, Richard, I need to pay $120 for Amazon for Kindle Unlimited for the year. And him go, bitch, you crazy. So that's what I do. But you do you, whatever you want to do. If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle and you don't have Kindle Unlimited, but you just want to buy the book, it's $4.99, which is still a fucking bargain for 727 pages. The paperback. You guys, this paperback, $20.85. $20.85. Now, okay, that's a lot of book, right? I understand that. But still, I'm like, okay, here's what I want to talk about really quick. And this is like I'm gonna get distracted. It happens all the time. I can't excuse it. For the same reason that I just mentioned with Kindle Unlimited. If you know anything about me, which I don't put out like my personal business out there, but okay, I grew up dirt poor. So, growing up, you would have the option to buy, let's say you're shopping for dog food. And I know this seems totally random and totally like, the fuck is this bitch even talking about? This is a book review. I'm gonna connect the dot here. Bear with me. Let's say you're buying a bag of dog food and it's $8 for, I don't know, 10 pounds of dog food. Is that a lot of dog food? 10 pounds? I don't know. $8 for a 10-pound bag. If you spend $20, you can get a 40-pound bag. Okay, it's clearly a better deal to spend the $20 and get a 40-pound bag of dog food. It lasts longer, it will go further, right? Okay, better bang for your buck. I grew up in an environment where we didn't have but $8. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even while, yes, it's a much better deal, I can't afford I don't have $20. So I'm just still gonna have to buy this $8 bag of dog food. And yes, in 2-3 days, I will have to buy another bag of dog food, but I'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? That's what I did with these books. I still have, even as a grown adult, I still have that poor person mentality where it's like, I can't reconcile the idea of spending $100 up front on 5 or 6 books. So I buy them $20 at a time, 1 book at a time, and I stretch it out over the course of however many weeks. Okay. I was so angry. That's what I did with this series. I essentially bought, like, every check I would spend $20 and change on a book until I had completed the series. I bought them all from Amazon. I do have Prime, so that saved me some money on shipping and like whatever. But I spent roughly around $100. In my Penelope Douglas stalkerage quest, I went to her website to look for merch. In the merch shop, it had these books listed in a bundle, signed by the author and personalized if you wanted her to write your name or something in there. The entire bundle, the entire series, for $82. I deliberately would not look on the site to see how much the shipping would have cost, because if I don't look, I can lie to myself and say, oh, well, these are some heavy ass books. So she probably would have charged like $30 for shipping for these books. So you would have paid at least what you paid on Amazon, possibly more. So you didn't really miss out on much. But in my mind, in the deep recesses of my mind, I know I did. And it's eating me alive inside. Because while it would have been the same books and the same series, and it would look exactly the same on my shelf, the fact that I know I could open the front cover and it say, to Candace, and then signed Pen Douglas, and look at the inside of mine, nothing. So if you are looking to buy the series in trade paperback, I would highly recommend that you buy them from the author's website. Miss Douglas has a bundle going right now. It's either $82 or $85, I can't remember. But it's less for just the bundle than what you would pay through Amazon. If you don't have Prime through Amazon, it's much cheaper to go through the author's website. If you do have Prime, it may equal out to be about the same once you add in shipping on the author's website. It might equal out to be the same as what you would pay with Prime, but you get them signed and possibly personalized. So if you're looking to buy the whole set at once and you have that moolah, do it, because it's a much better bargain and you would get something that you can cherish for the rest of your natural born life. Unlike me, who will just be sitting here with her unsigned $100 paperbacks, and I'm pissed, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. There's no use crying over spilt milk. Insert any other, what are those things called? Idioms? Anyway, so it's the end of my book-related trauma for this week. So I'm gonna read you guys the blurb. And we can break it down because it's a lot to break down. And just to give you a point of reference, because you know I have my little sheet every week that I print it. I'm gonna start really dramatic like. Can you see this mess? Okay. I knew my brain was trash. I knew that I was going to forget stuff, so I made notes. 727 pages. That's all I can say. Give me a pass. Okay, 727 pages. So I'm going to read you guys the blurb really quick. It's fairly lengthy, like all of the blurbs for these books are. And they're from both POVs. The main female and male characters each have a POV in the blurb. So keep that in mind as well. Before I do that, before I forget, trigger warning. Okay. I've done it every video. I'm going to do it again real quick right now. And I'll probably do it for the novella because there's another post novella after this. Trigger warning. This entire series is considered dark romance, meaning that it has triggering scenarios. It has border pushing, line pushing type scenarios. If you are easily triggered, whether it be due to personal trauma or you just don't like a particular thing, I don't know, plot point, you may not want to read these books. If you are easily triggered by rape, if you are easily triggered by child abuse, animal abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence. Okay, if you're triggered by any of those things, this may not be the series for you. She has several other books that don't really push those boundaries as far, or some not at all. She has a really good age gap romance called Birthday Girl that you might want to check out. There is another book that I absolutely adored called Credence that has a little bit of age gap, a little bit of like reverse harem type situations, but it doesn't have any like rape or molestation or stalkerage or anything crazy like that, right? So you might want to check that one out. If you're triggered by those types of things, then go that way. Don't stay here, okay? So let's get into the blurb and then we're going to break it down together. Because I'm already 16 minutes in. This is going to be another hour-long video. I broke a record last week with my kill switch video, which was an hour and 16 minutes. We're not going to talk about it. Okay. So there's like a little, little tagline thing. What happens when it's 5 against 1 and nowhere to run? Ooh, okay. The first POV, or the first bit of blurb is from Emery's point of view. Emery is the main female character. They call it Black Church, a secluded mansion in a remote, undisclosed location where the wealthy and powerful send their misbehaving sons to cool off away from prying eyes. Will Grayson has always been an animal, though. Reckless, wild, and someone who was never bound by a single rule other than to do exactly what he wanted. There was no way his grandfather was going to risk him humiliating the family again. Not that the last time was entirely his fault. He might have enjoyed backing me into corners in high school when no one was looking, so they wouldn't catch on that Mr. Popular actually wanted a piece of that quiet little nerd he loved to torture so much. But he could also be warm and fierce in keeping me safe. The truth is, he has a right to hate me. It's all my fault. Everything. Devil's Night, the videos, the arrests. I'm to blame for it all. Okay, so if you know anything, if you've read this series up to this point, then you will know that the person who leaked the videos was already revealed. So it's like, how is Emery responsible for that? Okay. The next POV is from Will's point of view, which is the main male character. I never minded being locked up. I learned a long time ago that being treated like an animal gives you permission to act like one. No one has ever looked at me any other way. Their only mistake is believing anything I do is an accident. I can sit in this house with no internet, television, liquor, or girls, but I'll come out of here with something far more frightening to my enemies. A plan. And a new pack of wolves. I just didn't expect one of my enemies to come to me. I don't know who smuggled her in or if they meant to leave her here, but I can smell her hiding in the house. She's here. And as the security detail leaves the supplies, the gates close and the door to my gilded cage opens, giving me free reign of the house and grounds for another unsupervised month. I remember with a smile. Black Church houses 5 prisoners. I'm only one of her problems. Okay, asterisks. Nightfall is a full-length romantic suspense suitable for readers 18 plus. It's necessary to read the prior installments in the You done? You done? Thanks. It's necessary to read the prior installments in the series before starting this story. Okay, thank you. Again, thank you for that, because if I had come in and just started reading on this one thinking it was a standalone, I would literally hang myself. Okay, so I feel like those blurbs give a good bit away, but at the same time, not much. You know what I'm saying? So the 2 main characters for this story are Emery and Will. If you know anything about these books, you will know that they center around 4 male friends. They start out as teenagers. In the beginning of high school, they start a tradition. They're from 4 of the most prominent and wealthy families in a town called Thunder Bay. It's like a little seaside town. There's an adjoining city that some of this stuff takes place within this series. And it's a city called Meridian City. But they are 4 friends in high school who are very, very spoiled, very overindulged, very damaged. And they start a tradition in 9th grade where every year on what they call Devil's Night, which is the night before Halloween, they basically run amok. So they put on masks, they don masks, and they go around town. They go around town creating general mayhem. It starts out very low key, like things like toilet papering houses and egging cars and things like that. And then as they get older, it graduates to more dangerous and illegal stunts. They make the unfortunate mistake of recording some of their more risque stuff, and those recordings end up somehow on the internet. Subsequently, 3 of the 4 of them that are identified, because only 3 of the 4 could be identified in the videos, 3 of the 4 of them go to prison for around 3 years each. They're now out. They've gone through the motions of tracking down the person who leaked the videos and getting revenge against said person and yada, 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 right? It was a big, when that happened and they all went to prison, it was a very big embarrassment for all of their families. Their families are considered very prominent figures, especially Will's family. Will's grandfather is a U.S. Senator, and it gives the impression that his family, his parents, and his grandfather will not allow him basically to embarrass the family again. The book opens with a chapter by Emery. She wakes up, and it's present day. She wakes up in an unknown house. She doesn't remember how she got there. She doesn't remember anything that led up to where she is. She has no idea where she is. All she knows is that she wakes up in a room, and it's in this giant mansion. And as she acclimates to her environment, she realizes that she is locked. Not locked, like all of the doors are unlocked. And it's like you can get out if you want to, but not really, because the house is monitored by persons unknown. And she realizes that she's in this house with 5 men. Each one is scarier than the last, including one who she recognizes. 4 she does not. The other one she does recognize, which is Will Grayson. She grew up with Will Grayson. They went to the same schools. They had a thing in high school, really like junior high and high school. He's basically been in love with her for as long as he can remember. Will was one of the most popular boys in school, along with his 3 friends, Michael, Kai, and Damon. They were known as like the bad boys of the school. And he had like a secret obsession with Emery. So she wakes up in the house with Will and these 4 other people, these 4 other guys, including a guy who appears to be the alpha of the house. His name is Aiden. He is essentially a sick, twisted psycho. It's weird because during the book, he has moments of softness towards Emery, almost as if he sees himself as like a father figure there to mentor her on like matters of life via tough love. He has been in the house the longest. I think it's divulged at some point that he's been there for 2 or 3 years. And the other 4 have come in after him, but because he's been there the longest, he has basically established like a hierarchy where he is the alpha. He controls everything in the house, the food, sleeping arrangements, everything. He spies on everyone. He knows everything that's going on, and he rules with an iron fist in the house. Once Emery wakes up and she meets all of these guys and she's looking around her surroundings, she realizes where she is. Not so much geographically, but she realizes that she is inside of what it's like folklore almost. It's a place called Black Church. It is a rumored, I want to say almost like a boot camp type situation for the overprivileged heirs to moneyed families. If your son has a gambling problem and a drug problem and alcohol problem, or if he murders someone, or if he's a sick fuck in whatever way, and you think he's going to be an embarrassment to the family, you ship him off to Black Church. Black Church, there are no locks in terms of, it's not a prison, but they're basically reduced to their baser instincts, where they have to fight for everything they need. So where they have once a month, a crew comes in and supplies them with food and cleans the house for them and keeps them in splendor, basically. They have to fight each other for everything they get. So if in this realm that Aiden now presides over, if you want alcohol, which he does have some pull to get things, if you want alcohol, if you're a recovering alcoholic and you want alcohol, you have to fight him for it. And when I say fight, I mean like full on like fight, like Fight Club type fight. If you win, he'll give you a drink. If you lose, he's just basically solidified his position as head of the household. P.S. Aiden doesn't lose. He's pretty fucking ferocious. So, and he seems to like get off on it. Like he's very sadistic in that way. So Emery realizes that she's in Black Church. It's a rumored thing that she always thought was just that, a rumor. She doesn't know why she's there. She doesn't know who dropped her off there, who brought her there. Will doesn't know who brought her there or why she's there. He does know that it obviously has something to do with him because they're the only ones that have a past together. Growing up, he was in love with her for as long as he could remember. And it wasn't so much that he wanted to keep her like a dirty little secret. She was the one that put constraints on what it was that they had together. So in the beginning, she would not give him the time of day. She scoffed at him because he was just an immature prick who, would taunt her in public and behind closed doors tell her, I will beat up anyone who bothers you. I'll defend you. I'll whatever. I'm interested in you. And he would leave her like little gifts in her locker, and he would do all of these sweet little things. But to all outward appearances, he appeared to be an asshole. She found him immature. She found him shallow. She found him overprivileged and overindulged. And because she came from a modest household where both of her parents have passed away, she has an elderly grandmother that she was taking care of, who's just about on death's door. And then she has a brother who's a police officer. She doesn't have time for his shit, or she pretends that she doesn't have interest or time for his shit. She secretly, he does stuff to her, you know what I'm saying? He does stuff. So they have in the flashback scenes, their relationship plays out in a way that it makes it very obvious that there's something going on with her at home that she's hiding from everyone else. And it turns out that her brother is physically abusive to her. Your typical like domestic violence type situation where she walks on eggshells all the time. She's always afraid. If she does something wrong, he will punish her for it physically. And then the next day, he'll apologize and he'll tell her how sorry he is and how, I'm the only one who cares about you, and sometimes you just make me so angry and I don't know why you do these things that make, right? A typical, like, this is really your fault that I did this to you, but I am sorry I did this to you. Here's some flowers, here's some candy, that type of thing. So she has that living situation at home. Because of that, she will not get close to anyone, even like her regular like chick friends. She has like one vague friend at school who's a girl who she talks to on a regular basis. But even then, she doesn't let anyone, even that person, into her home life because she's afraid that she's going to be found out. She wears baggy clothes to school. She wears long sweaters and long sleeves even when it's hot outside because she's covering up bruises from her brother where he's hit her and she's bruised all over her body. So the entire time she's talking to Will in high school, and they're having their little tete-a-tetes or whatever you want to call them, their run-ins where he's pursuing her or he finds her someplace and they talk or whatever. She's in constant fear that her brother will find out. So she's hiding that. And she's hiding from him, from Will, that her brother is beating on her. She does it because she's ashamed. Towards the middle or the end of the book, where it starts delving into the end of their high school relationship. And he finds out that Will finds out that this has been going on. He basically, he lashes out because he's like, you could have come to me. Why didn't you tell me this was happening? And she can't really explain that it's because I was embarrassed, because I was ashamed that this was happening to me and that I wasn't doing anything to defend myself and that I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And because she was scared, because her brother was lording her grandmother's health over her, and all of these things that typical domestic abusers do, where they'll do anything they can to keep you under their thumb. So present day, at first, when she realizes where she is, that she's in black church with Will and these other 4 guys, she tries to basically at first she tries to run away. She tries to break out. She realizes after she's caught several times by them and made to feel scared and intimidated and whatever, she starts to see different facets of each one's personality. There's one guy by the name of Taylor who's just a straight piece of shit psycho. There are 2, Micah and Rory, who after a little while she realizes that they're kind of in a relationship together. Obviously they are both either at least bisexual or gay, and that they're not such terrible people. One of them, I forget, okay, one of them is the son of, Micah is the son of a terrorist. And he's basically been banished to black church. I forget the reason why he's there. But Rory, on the other hand, murdered 7 people. It's explained that he had a twin sister who I think she had cerebral palsy, and one night these 7 teenagers broke into their house, I think it was, and they basically brutalized her. And he basically went on a rampage, and he kidnapped each one of them and drowned them in the lake behind his house. He got caught, but by a sheriff that his family was paying off. And so it was all swept under the rug, but subsequently he was sent to Black Church. So that's why Rory is there. And then there is Iden. Iden is a very complicated character. The way that Iden tells it is he puts off the front in the beginning that he's done something really heinous, and that's why he's in Black Church. They believe that that's why that he's done something terrible. He could have only done something terrible because he's a scary dude. Later on, it comes out that the real reason that he is in Black Church is because he refused to an arranged marriage that was being made by his father because he was in love with someone else. There's so much plot, and there's so much like exposition and backstory, and like, I'm trying to think of a way to cohesively paste it all together because I know that I'm gonna miss so much, or it's gonna be so like out of order and just bungled. So while Emery is there, she's now resigned herself that she's not getting out anytime soon. The next group of people coming in to resupply or refortify the house with food and things of that nature will not happen for a month. So now she has to basically bargain and wheedle her way into getting her own bedroom and basically level the playing field between her and the other men. And basically bide her time until the next resupply so that she can get out. She's hoping. She still doesn't know who put her in Black Church. If it was somebody who is privy to the surveillance within the house, she doesn't know. So then that's brought up another issue of, do you really think that they don't know you're here? They monitor the house all the time. Do you really think that they don't know you're here? And if they do know you're here, they're leaving you here on purpose. So do you really think they're going to let you out in a month? That's like another mind fuck that she has to deal with. In the meantime, Will is basically giving her the cold shoulder. He's treating her like trash. And she knows why. Towards the end of their high school relationship, they had become very close, and Emery had been sneaking off to see Will. Will was obsessed with a local legend of like a star-crossed lovers type situation from two, a guy and a girl, one from their high school and one from the high school of the adjoining town. It's like they're rivals in basketball and that kind of thing. So the story goes basically of like a murder-suicide type situation. And there's a big conspiracy surrounding whether or not the woman in question, the girl in question, somehow managed to fake her death and live. There's like a prom involved, and they detail a very 50s style pink dress with tulle that the girl wore to a dance at the rival high school where she met and fell in love with this guy who was like the star of the basketball team. And it was basically like a star-crossed lovers type situation. And it turned into a murder-suicide. But there's speculation that the girl in question somehow faked her death and ended up surviving. And basically Will's been obsessed with that story since he was in high school. At one point, Emery finds a key, like a skeleton type key, that was left for her in her yard. She finds it. She doesn't know what it goes to, but it has something on it that points her in the direction of their local Catholic church. She goes in and she's snooping around and she finds a door that the key unlocks. And inside is basically like a hideaway type room with a bed and storage stuff. It looks like it was used for storage. Like there's boxes and trunks everywhere and things of that nature. And she happens to find a very beautiful, somewhat tattered 50s style pink tulle dress. When she gets inside and she finds the room, there's a note left for her on the bed, unsigned, from someone anonymous, assumingly the same person who left her the key. Basically saying that the room has been sort of a safe haven for people who are in trouble and who have need of it. So imagine like the room of requirement from Harry Potter, but in this case, it's a place for you to hide out from your troubles in life. And you use it as long as you feel like you need to. And once your life is in a better situation, you anonymously pass the key on to someone else. The room itself is also another local legend that everyone's heard of, but no one thinks actually exists. Emery uses that for the next 2 years as a frequent hideout from her brother, Martin. Anytime he goes into like a major rage and she needs to disappear, she runs there. One night, he finds out that she has been seeing Will. He flips out and he basically just beats the hell out of her. Prior to that incident, he had been careful or somewhat restrained in only hitting her in places that could be easily covered with clothes. He would never hit her in the face. He would never hit her somewhere where the bruises would be easily visible. In his rage, he basically just wails her in the face multiple times. She has like a cut on her eyebrow. She has a black eye. She has bloody lip. She's got like, you know what I'm saying? But because it's Devil's Night and because it's the night of their, one of their like senior dances or whatever, she decides to throw caution to the wind. Bloody and all, she goes to the church and she changes into the dress that was up there. And she decides, fuck it, if I'm already getting the crap kicked out of me, I might as well go to the dance with Will, which is something that she has been putting off. She kept refusing to go with him because she didn't want her brother to find out. And also because she didn't want to get close to him and have him find out her secret or bring him into her lifestyle and everything that's going on with her. So she shows up to the school in the hopes that she can coax Will to be her date for the evening, even though she's snubbed him and they've had a horrible argument and he appears to want nothing else to do with her. She shows up in the dress and she unabashedly keeps all of her bruises like just on full display, citing that it's part of her costume, and he buys into that at first. She finds him at the dance. He sees her. He basically cuts her a break and says, I'm going to give you another chance because, you know, I'm in love with you. And so they spend the night together. And when he wakes up the next morning, he realizes that the bruises that are all over her body are not makeup and they're not wiping off. And he starts to piece things together. And now it's Devil's Night. Or it's Halloween. I forget. It's either Devil's Night or Halloween. And him and the guys are going out for their usual set of pranks. They happen to be out on the town and they see her brother. they see that he's pulled over a car that has like several teenagers in it, girls and guys. He takes one of the teenage girls out of the back of the vehicle and puts her in the back of his car, and then lets the others go. At first, that they're like, oh, this piece of shit, he's pulled over, he's hassling some more kids. And then when they see him put the girl in the back of his vehicle, they're like, what's going on? She's a minor. He shouldn't be taking her anywhere alone, especially. So they decide to follow him. He doesn't go back to the station. He goes to a very rural area that's on the outskirts of town. And they realize that he's there to basically sexually assault the girl. So not only has he been beating up on Emery, he's also a gross pedophile. And he's using his position of power to basically rape young women. Will loses his shit because at this point he's just found out that her brother, that he's beating up on Emery. And now this on top of everything else, he loses his mind and he says, put on your masks, get the camera, let's go. They get out. They basically pull the girl out of the car, tell her to run. She does. They proceed to beat the shit out of Martin and basically like not leave him for dead, but leave him there to rot. Even though they're recording, it makes it clear that they know who he is. And that at one point, Will leans down and Martin can see his eyes through the mask and recognizes him. And he knows that it's Will. Martin doesn't say anything at first because he knows that he has more to lose than they do, or as much to lose. So after high school, and they have their like falling out or whatever, Emery's now in college. She wakes up one morning and she sees her phone is blowing up ridiculously. And she sees article after article of videos and things that have been leaked online, the previous aforementioned videos, of the four guys, doing all these dirty deeds. She rushes back to Thunder Bay. She basically rushes into the police station where she knows that they're being held because they've been arrested at this point. She knows they're being held, and she goes in to see her brother, even though she's avoided seeing him for like a year. She goes in and she demands to see Will. Her brother is not at all surprised to see her. He's actually planned on her coming. After she moved out of the house, in looking around the house for things or just serendipitous, he happened to find a little hidden stash of Polaroids that she had taken back when she was in high school. Every time he would hit her, she would take a picture. Because it was before the age of the cell phone, or before the age of she didn't have a cell phone, so she used Polaroids. And she took pictures of her bruises to document in the event that she ever needed to have proof that Martin was hurting her. He finds the Polaroids, and he basically looks at her and he says, you're going to help me put them in prison. They'll plead down the charges. They're all going to go away for my attack. They're also going to go away for a whole bunch of other things that are on this camera phone, other videos that are there, unless you sign a statement that says that they basically victimized you in high school and that they hurt you, that they hurt you as well. They drug you down into the catacombs and they abused you down there. I have the Polaroids to show that you were hurt, right? You're gonna sign this statement saying they did this to you so that they'll go to jail. They'll plead down the charges, they'll be out in a couple years, whatever. She's like, fuck you, there's no way. He offers her the incentive of enough money to put her grandmother in a really nice facility, like a nursing home, and to give her, he'll sign over power of attorney to her for her grandma, so that she can make the decisions on her care. She's like, she's already in a really decent facility. I moved her when I moved out. I put her in a good place. I got a scholarship, so the money that I would have used for tuition, I've been using to put her there. He's like, well, I'm power of attorney, and I moved her. And now she's in the shittiest nursing home you can possibly imagine in Meridian City or wherever. And she'll stay there unless you sign this document. So she feels like she has no choice. He also says basically something to the extent of, we'll leak the rest of the videos. They'll be brought up on more charges and they'll be in prison longer if you don't sign it. So she feels like she doesn't have a choice and she has to sign. So she does. That part is kept secret when everything goes to court. Will's grandfather finds out about it and tells him 2 years later, when he gets out of prison, or shortly around the time that Will's gonna get out, that Emery was the reason behind why they were sent to jail. That she signed the statement saying that all of this happened. He doesn't tell the rest of the guys. He has his own plans for revenge against Emery. So that does come out later in the book. And she explains her reasoning. The whole thing about the photos and, you know, what Martin would have said, and that she needed to take care of her grandma and blah, blah, blah. Some of them are more forgiving than others. But at that point, she's beyond caring. So they're in Black Church, and that's basically why Will wants nothing to do with her. He's treating her like garbage because he knows about that signed statement that she did all those years ago. So everyone is under the impression, and when I say everyone, I mean Michael, Damon, Kai, none of them have heard from Will in over a year. The text messages that they've been receiving from him, from his phone, are clearly fake. And they know that he's in Black Church. They just don't know where Black Church is. So they're hunting while all of this is happening. They think that his grandfather put him there. Over the course of the book, it's revealed that Will is there of his own free will. He put himself in Black Church. He basically was made to feel by Emery, as well as a lot of other people growing up, that he had no direction. He was made to feel that he was like the group hanger-oner. Spoiled rich kid, senator grandfather. You have no ambition in life. You have nothing going on for you. You just spend your parents' money and you dick around. He doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. Obviously, this is prior to going to prison. He doesn't know what to do with his life. Once he goes to prison and he gets out, his friends are all getting married or meeting their soulmate and moving on, and he's just there alone. He does have a friend, Alex, who is introduced in the first book as a friend of Rika's and several of the other girls that are prevalent throughout the series. She works as a paid escort. She's unashamed of the fact that she's an escort. She sees it as her doing what she has to do to pay her way through college so that she can set herself up and she can live the life she wants to live. So she's a very sexually liberated woman. After Will and them get out of jail and he meets Alex, they start a sexual affair that turns it into more of a friendship. She's there for him when he's at his worst. He clearly has like substance abuse issues. Even through high school, he was like doing cocaine and he was like doing prescription medications as well as alcohol. After prison, that did not get any better. It just got worse. Prior to him disappearing and going to where he's been put, Black Church, him and Alex were off gallivanting around the world, putting pictures on social media of them on the beach, looking like they're living their best life, and really they're both actually miserable. Will is spiraling, and they think that that's why his family has put him there. Will is there of his own free will. He has an end game that he's basically pretending to be demure and submissive. He doesn't want to be the lowest rung on the ladder within the house. He also could be challenging Aiden, and he's choosing not to. He's choosing to play the role as beta, and nobody seems to know why. Every time they get into a fight and Aiden wins, Emery's sitting back going, I know Will can fight. I know he could kick this guy's ass if he wanted to. What's going on with him? And all of that does not come out until the end of the book. There is so much backstory and subplots going on. There's so many subplots going on. That all come to like a culmination at the end of the book that involve Michael's dad and his plot to murder Erica's father, him basically trying to take over everything, and now in a power struggle with his own son, Michael, and his friends who are establishing themselves not only in Meridian City but in Thunder Bay as legitimate business owners looking to expand into the real estate game and build a resort and do all these things. And he realizes that his legacy is being overshadowed by his son, and that his son has become a real threat. And he has to do whatever is in his power to ruin Michael. And so that also comes out as like a subplot at the end, where it turns out that Martin was in cahoots with Michael's father as well as Damon's father. And he basically had friends in high places who agreed to further his law enforcement career in exchange for him getting their sons locked up, to basically bring them down a peg and to rein them in, to stop them from embarrassing the families. So that is also a plot that's going on behind the scenes. There is a huge plot twist at the end of the book involving Will's family, and this is after they've all escaped Black Church. They escape Black Church and they make their way back to Thunder Bay, where them as a unit decide to take on basically all the big baddies who have fucked them over since high school. And so it's a lot. It's very exciting. There's like a lot of poignant scenes where after Emery and Will have professed their love for each other, that there's like a huge 4-way wedding between all of them, and it gets like busted up by Iden and his crew, who have followed them off of the island, whom they thought were left for dead, and now they realize, oh shit, Iden's not dead. Iden also has ulterior motives because it turns out that Alex turns out to be the woman that he was in love with. And the reason why he would not agree to an arranged marriage was because he wanted to be with Alex. By the time he realized what he wanted and he came back for her, she was already self-sufficient and living this lifestyle that she's currently living, and he condemned her for it. And that set them at odds, and that he still refused to marry anyone else because it was either her or nobody, and that's what landed him in Blackchurch. When he finds out that Alex is now part of Will's crew, basically, shit hits the fan with them, and it's so hot, and it's so like, oh god, I can't, like, there's just so much. It's so much. But okay, so I'm going to touch on a few quick topics here because I know that we've been at this for like an hour and a half. Towards the end of, like, right at the end of the book, as all of this stuff is going down with Michael's dad, and they're having their big confrontation at the Cove, which is an amusement park, the place that Michael and them are trying to rebuild into a resort, they run across a little girl. I believe she's like 11? No, 8? I think she's like 8. And she appears to have been living at the Cove in like the underground tunnels. If you remember the book Punk 57, which takes place in the same realm as these books, the main male character from Punk 57, Misha, is Will's cousin. And for a time when he was going through a very down period in his life, he was living in some underground tunnels below the Cove, which is like an abandoned theme park. So it's very apparent that this little girl is now living there in Misha's abandoned room. They don't allude to her having any parents or where she came from or anything of that nature, but she helps them out towards the end of the book when there's this huge blow up at the Cove. If you remember the portion of my video review from Conclave, which was the little novella prior to this book, it came out that Rika could not have kids, that she believed herself to be infertile. So in the epilogue of the book, they make it clear that Michael and Erica adopted this girl. Her name is Athos, and she has basically been adopted by them, and they raise her as their daughter. Later on, in the epilogue, Michael and Erica somehow have a miracle child. When they finally just given up on fertility treatments and everything else that they've tried, and they're not really even trying at all, Erica gets pregnant. So it's like a blessing of like a little miracle baby for them. So a few of the issues that I had with the book, and they're not really even issues to the point like that I want to like come for the author about these. But so the book ends obviously with an HEA. Emery and Will end up together, right? Okay. Then there's an epilogue. The epilogue takes place 10 years in the future. 10 years in the future. Athos is now 18. The epilogue essentially explains how they're preparing for what they allude to has become like a tradition of sorts, that they're preparing for another conclave. They have since set up almost like a boardroom, what you would imagine a boardroom, but like underground in the catacombs of St. Killian's, where Michael and Erica live. So everyone that's involved in this, they've built like this dynasty of families. And everyone that's of age, all the adults. So all of the couples are meeting there for this conclave where they're getting ready to have an altercation of sorts, or a meeting with Micah's family. So if you remember earlier in my video, 500 years ago when I started talking, Micah comes from a family of terrorists. I don't remember what nationality they are. They're either like Serbian or Turkish or something like that. Micah's father has died, and now they are sitting down for a meeting with the heir apparent. So part of Will's endgame prior to the epilogue was that he was going to basically take Micah and Rory under his wing, and fold them into his current family. Like his, not family, but like his family. His Michael, Erica, Kai, Banks, Damon, Winter, all of them. They're his family. Alex, they're his family. So he went in not only to get information, but also to recruit. He went into Black Church to recruit more people that he could bring into their dynasty of like outcasts. Micah and Rory were the two that stuck. They stayed in Thunder Bay after everything went down. And now Micah's father has died. And one of his siblings is inheriting the title of like head terrorist. So they're sitting down with a meeting with Micah's siblings, where they're basically they want to renegotiate terms. When Will sprung them from Black Church, he basically did so with a tentative agreement between Micah's parents and Rory's parents. He basically got them to agree to partly fund the family's business ventures, their real estate stuff and whatever, and to pay for all of Michael and Rory's needs for the rest of their life, and will promise to keep them out of trouble and keep them in Thunder Bay, and to give their families part of the profits and the proceeds from their business ventures. It was kind of like a win-win for the families because they were making an investment and they were getting a return, and they had the added benefit of their problem child no longer being in the public eye and causing issues for them. So now that Micah's father has died and one of his siblings is to inherit the throne, the siblings have decided they want to renegotiate terms. they basically coming to the conclave to extort more money out of Will and them. So they're preparing for this conclave, and they're getting ready to meet with Micah's siblings. And Michael and Erica's daughter, their adopted daughter Athos, who is now 18, they allow her to attend the conclave because they think she's 18, she's mature for her age, she's coming of age, she's, you know what I mean? They decide that it's about time for her to be inducted into the big boys club, basically. So in the epilogue, it leaves off as if they're... The only way that I can explain it is the ending basically promises us another book, at least one more book, because there's a clear storyline that's leading into, or like leaves off, that something big is about to pop off. And there's a chemistry between Athos and one of Micah's siblings, the new honcho. So the author alludes to these things, and then I'm like, I finished the book and I'm like so hype. I'm like, so, oh my God, there's gonna be another book. I'm so excited. So I go to the author's website, and in the FAQ, someone asked the question, do you plan on writing more books for Alex and the children of the main couples, etc., aka Athos and their other kids? And the author basically wrote back and was like, no. If I tell you, like, I don't want to throw any shade at Penelope Douglas, but if I tell you how upset, I can't be the only one. I was so upset. I was like, already like, yo, what's gonna happen with Athos? Like, can I get that book like right now, please? And then to see that she has no plans to write books for any of the kids. Alex and Aiden won't get their own book. And that was another thing that I was like, I felt a little bit cheated, because I was like, okay, so the epilogue shows Alex and Aiden already together, that they're married. And what happened? Like, I wanted them to have their own story. And again, I can't be the only one who wanted that. And so I felt a little bit cheated by that. And then on top of that, now I'm not going to get Athos's book, and I'm not going to get any of the other kids' books. And like, I know for some people that would be weird. Like, okay, we were here for the parents, and we saw them do some really sexually depraved things. And now they've got kids. And like, is it weird that I want their kids to get into some sexually depraved things? Like, obviously not in a pedo type way, as British people say pedo. But like, I would love books like, I want them to be older, obviously, because I'm not a sicko, but I would love to continue on this dynasty that Penelope has created, and for more books to be released. Please. Penelope Douglas doesn't know I exist. I know that. She probably will never know I exist. I have virtually no following. But if by some miracle of God, if you see this, please write more books for this series. I will pay you a ridiculous amount of money to write me this book. Do I have a ridiculous amount of money? No, not really. I'll sell some shit. So yeah. So those are my two main points of contention when it came to the ending of this series. I know there is another novella after this, but it's very short. I think it's like 100 pages or something like that. And it doesn't, to my knowledge, it does not it's not going to answer any of the questions that I just posed, because in the way the author explained it, the novella, the last novella, which is called Fire Night, takes place the winter before the epilogue from this book. So I think it's more of like a filler, book, like an ode to the fans maybe type book, where it's like, I'm gonna let you see them again, you know, one last time, whatever. But it's before the epilogue, so all the issues brought up in the epilogue with Athos and Micah's siblings, that's not going to be resolved, and I'm so depressed. So yeah, so if can we start a petition or something? Like, I would sign. I would love to get that book. If you could, that would be great. For the rating for the book, I gave it a 9.5. I loved Will's book. It's so plot heavy, and there's so much going on, but not in like a confusing way. You can follow plot points, no problem. It was very detailed, and like, even I don't know how she manages to tie all these things in together. Any author really that manages to do something like that is like, it blows my mind. But I will give more thoughts on like the series overall when I do the review for Fire Night. But in terms of this book, it was so good. Damon's book is probably still my favorite and will remain my favorite. But I would say it would be a tie between Kai and Will, as to whose book is like runner up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the whole series is phenomenal. Every book stands on its own merit. Every book has its own plot and subplot and subplot, and it all ties into a longer running story, and they each tie into each other, so that they have to be read in order. I can't stress that enough. If you are interested in reading these books, please start at the beginning. The first book is called Corrupt. You can find my review for that several videos back. But yeah, the entire series is phenomenal. I'm so glad that I ran across not only these books, but this author in general. I know everything I've posted on Instagram for like the last 2 months has been all like Penelope Douglas related. I appear to be legit obsessed, and I am. But it's honestly more of a personal thing for me when it comes to like the aspect of I was in like a permanent reading slump for like the last several years, and I would read a book, and yes, it would be good, and I would be like, yes, this book was good, but it didn't resonate. Like, it didn't, you know what I mean? These books, all of her books, are so, I don't know, I don't want to say like soul wrenching. Like, they dig their way inside you, and then you just can't get them out. You don't want to get them out. They're that good. So anyway, I've gushed enough. For the rating for the book, I gave it 9.5. I would definitely recommend this book to anyone. I would definitely recommend this series to anyone who is into dark romance. I would not recommend it to like your layman type, you know what I mean? Like, if you're curious and you're open-minded, then you may like them. If you're clear-cut and you know what you like, and you don't like risque, taboo, boundary-pushing hot topics, then these may not be the books for you. But you never know. Give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You read it and it's not to your taste, and then you just move on to your next book. I mean, it's no big deal. So yeah, I would highly recommend this series. It's just, I can't gush enough. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, this 4-hour video, and you like me and you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If you do subscribe, make sure you hit the little bell so you get notifications when I upload a new video. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I do have a members only Facebook group, an Instagram, and a Twitter. And yeah, I'll put them all in the description box below, and I will put a little banner on the screen here for you guys to see. And I think that's about it. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me for another video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Okay? I love you so much. Bye. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. How am I gonna do this? Okay. I don't, how am I gonna? All right. We're just gonna get started because I have made myself an anxious, nervous wreck, procrastinating doing this video because I know for a fact that it's gonna be a hot mess. My brain is trash. You guys know this. We've talked about this so many times. Then you add the page length to this novel. The combination of the two. I feel like I was set up. I've been literally set up like for disaster. So we're just gonna get started. Okay? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. That was really suggestive. I'm sorry. Hi guys. Welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Beck Reviews. Okay, let's try that again. Shall we? Shall we? Shall we? We shall. Have pizza. I gotta make sure I don't have any bits in my teeth. And while he doesn't want to be the lowest one on the ladder, like the lowest rung on the ladder, okay, my angle has probably changed. I apologize for that. I ran out of storage, so I had to go remove some shit from my phone. Okay, so he might have enjoyed packing. Nope. Okay, let's try this again because I was having like anxiety or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm having a heart attack. I laugh, but I'm very, very paranoid. Welp. Okay. Oh, God. Back hurts. Back hurts. Help. Send help. Okay. I know I forgot a lot. I wrote Alex was hiding in the passageways. I wrote house catches on fire at night and is stuck inside. I wrote, these are just my notes that I completely forgot to add into the plot. Double cross, Will and Grandpa, Alex gets shot. That's a pretty big plot point, isn't it, that I missed out on? Tough titty. Yeah, I think that's, I think I got everything else. It's like, Alex doesn't die, don't worry. So satisfying. All right, I'm done. I can't do anymore. I'm gonna run out of storage again. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next video on my next spot.